Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be upon all of you. I want to say that I feel the spirit here this year was much higher than last year. So I want to speak to you tonight about a very important topic that I feel is absolutely necessary that I speak about, because I would not be true to what I am feeling inside. In Russia, a group of people took hostage a school filled with children, and that resulted in the deaths of several hundred people, including around 175 children. And this atrocity, unfortunately, was done once again in the name of our religion. And I feel that we as Muslims are suffering all over because of the acts of a handful of people. And we must, in one voice, condemn and completely reject the concept of indiscriminate killing in this religion. It is neither from the religion, nor is it sanctioned by the religion in any reading of our pre-modern tradition. It is a modern phenomenon. And unfortunately, those practicing it have learned it from the nihilistic elements within Western tradition who innovated it, from Marxism and from Asian philosophies that have a concept of the kamikaze. This is not our tradition, and we must recognize that it is doing untold damage to Islam, because we cannot be so short-sighted that we do not see the eyes of history looking upon us as a community. And I feel that what happened in that school is more heinous than the destruction of the Church of the Sepulchre that occurred under the insane Fatimid ruler al-Hakim bi Amrillah. And we suffer the fact that that is recorded in the history books, a blemish on the Muslim peoples as long as people read history. We must reject indiscriminate violence against innocents, because blood is too precious, and it is our Lord that sanctified the blood of Bani Adam. من أجل ذلك كتبنا على بني إسرائيل من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا. And for that reason, the sanctity of life, we decreed upon Bani Israel, and by extension upon the Muslims, that anyone who kills a soul without just cause, or brigandry in the earth, terrorism, that it is as if they have killed all of humanity. And this is what has happened. We do not count numbers. We do not say they killed 30,000 of us or 3,000. We do not count numbers. Every soul is sacred, and this has to be reestablished on the earth. Once again, the teaching of Abraham alayhi salam. And that is why our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam warned us, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْغُلُوَّ فِي الدِّينِ فَإِنَّمَا أَهْلَكَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ الْغُلُوُّ فِي الدِّينِ. Beware of extremism in religion. Because it is extremism in religion that destroyed the peoples before you. He did not warn it if it was not a real and serious threat to the Muslim community. And so this is the issue of the age. This is the issue that the Republican Party is basing their entire platform on. Basing an entire political platform in the most powerful military nation on the earth. It is based on the idea that Islamic fanatics are a threat to the security of this country. And this must be condemned. We have a society now that is facing social disintegration. We have the erosion of the middle class in this country. We have homeless people. We have joblessness. We have erosion in our schools of the standards of education that were once the pride of this country, that produced the scientists who are now imported from places like India and Pakistan. This is the reality. We have an entire continent of Africa that has had over 40 million deaths by AIDS. Twice as many people as died in the Great Plague of Europe, the Black Plague. 40 million human beings. And yet there is no funding for research into this plague that is afflicting the women of Africa in great numbers, that we are looking at 100 million people that are facing death by the plague of AIDS. And yet we're spending $500 billion on a defense budget that is 9 times greater than all of the defense budgets on this planet put together. That is not right. It's against every principle upon what this country was based. And this is the second extremism that I want to talk about. I believe that this country is being hijacked by a select group of extremists themselves. Islam is not the only religion that suffers from extremism. There is an extremist agenda in this country that is not in the best interests of the United States. And it's the goodness of this people that every war that this country goes to is always done in the name of the highest ideals of this country, because the hypocrites that use those ideals for their own advantages know that in the hearts of the Americans is a love of truth, a love of justice, and a love of liberty, and they believe that those should be values and virtues that are promoted throughout the world. The Muslims are here to stay. And Pat Buchanan said in a very profound essay, if this government thinks they can wage war on Islam like we waged war on fascism or communism or any other ideology, they have another thing coming, because Islam has been here for 1,400 years and proved itself indestructible. Islam is indestructible. Islam is indestructible. And that is what Pat Buchanan had to say, a respected Republican. Islam is indestructible. So I want all of you to recognize that this country has great ideals. These ideals are rooted in Islamic ideals, and toleration is an Islamic gift to the West. And this can be historically proven because the first edict of toleration was the Edict of Buddha. And it was done under the suzerainty of the Ottoman Empire by a Unitarian Transylvanian prince. We also have evidence, clear evidence, that John Locke, one of the greatest political theorists in Western history, was influenced by Edward Pocock, who just happened to be the professor of Islamic and Arabic studies at Cambridge University. He convinced John Locke to abandon his Trinitarianism and embrace Unitarianism, to embrace the unity of God. And so we must see that Islam has given too much, and tonight is about giving. The Muslims have given too much to civilization for them to be accused or abused by those people that wish nothing but harm for this country. That is what they want. And I will end on this note, that I sincerely believe until the Palestinian issue is recognized as the festering sore on the body of this planet, until the United States of America rises up to her responsibility in addressing a grave crime against a people for over 50 years who have been suffering in humiliation, in abject poverty, and have suffered at the hands of the current government that could be called nothing less but a fascist government. Nothing less but a fascist government. That Palestine is the issue. And while I hold no enmity in my heart for Jewish people, I hold no enmity in my heart for the children of prophets, for the children of Jacob, because I know that their father would only wish them well. And I wish what their father wishes for them. But I call on the Jewish people of this country to rise up and condemn the oppression that they see with their own eyes. We as Muslims must abandon tribalism. We must abandon tribalism. We must reject the concept of collective guilt. We must reject the concept of Bani Islam. I did not join a tribe. I joined what I believe is the religion of truth. And wherever that religion tells me to stand, I will stand with it, whether it's with the Muslims or against them. We cannot fall victim to tribal mentalities. We have to reject in our hearts vengeance, revenge, for the sake of pride. We have to reject this in our hearts and begin to read the Quran as it was clearly intended by the author who we believe is the Lord of the worlds, when he said in the Quran again and again, وَمَنْ عَافَى وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ عَاقِبُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا عُوقِبْتُمْ بِهِ وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. That yes, you can indeed redress wrongs as you choose, but if you show patience, if you're forbearing, that is better to you. If you forgive, that is better to you. And I was with the parents of Rachel Corey, who lost their beautiful daughter in Palestine, run over and crushed by a caterpillar tractor built in the United States of America and given as aid to Israel and used as a weapon of destruction against a Palestinian pharmacist who had nothing to do with any violence against the state of Israel, but was being punished for collective guilt, which is a crime against every legal system on this planet. The idea that one holds the sins of another is alien to the Abrahamic tradition. The Quran says, and it's reiterated in the Bible in its Old and New Testament forms, لا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. No soul bears the burden of another soul. The sins of those Palestinians who are having their trees uprooted, who are having their houses destroyed, has nothing to do with anything other than gross injustice, and we reject it. Just as we reject innocent Jews that are killed in the name of Islam. I reject it. I want to stand by the truth. That's where I want to be. I want to stand by the truth. And I want all of you to stand by the truth and look into your hearts. Astafti qalbak walaw aftawka an-nas. Take a fatwa from your own heart, even if people give you fatwa. You ask your own heart what our Prophet ﷺ would do. Would he kill children? We only have 500 hadiths that are absolutely of the status of the Quran. And one of them says, Naha Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam an qatl an-nisa'i wal awlad. The Prophet of God forbade the killing of women and children. The Prophet of God forbade the killing of women and children. The Prophet of God forbade the killing of women and children. We cannot see his name vilified. We will not allow his religion to be vilified for crimes that have nothing to do with his religion. And we should say, like he said when Khalid ibn Walid killed those prisoners unjustly, Allahumma inni bari'un mimma fa'ala Khalid. I am innocent of what Khalid did. I am innocent of what Khalid did. This is what he cried, and this is what we must cry. Islam is innocent of what's being done in its name. We reject it in the same way that the Christians now reject the gross intolerance, the crusades, the children's crusades, and every other pre-modern crime that was done in the name of Christianity. The modern Christians reject it. And we too must reject what is being done in the name of our religion. Really, with one voice. And our ulama have immense burden. And I believe that our ulama have failed to address this critical issue. And I want them to address it because it must be seen for the crime that it is. It has to be seen for the crime that it is. And I want to say, Daniel Pipes put a test out on the internet, how to determine whether somebody is a good Muslim or a bad Muslim. And I took that test and I failed. And I want to say to all of you, I hope you fail that test too. And I hope that you don't want to be a good Muslim in the eyes of Daniel Pipes. And for anybody here who's representing him, I wish all the best for that man. I hope he's guided. I hope he looks into his heart and really reassesses what he's been doing. But I really want to say that I want to be a good Muslim in the eyes of God. And being a good Muslim in the eyes of God often means being condemned in the eyes of people. And so don't be ashamed. Jesus Christ told his followers, you will be persecuted in my name. Jesus Christ told his followers, the people of the world will hate you and they will persecute you, because people of truth are often hated and despised by people of falsehood. So do not be afraid of being hated and despised. May God strengthen this organization. May He strengthen all our organizations. May you go back to your communities with a renewed spirit to strive even harder. And I would say, Tariq Ramadan, when he is refused, or not refused, when his visa is revoked, it's time to change administrations. And I want to say, if the Republicans are closer to the truth, I'm with them. If the Democrats are closer to the truth, I'm with them. But in this case, anything but Bush. Because this country has to send a message. This country has to send a message to the rest of the world that the last 4 years were a mistake. Abu Ghraib was a mistake. Abu Ghraib does not represent the good people of the United States. And Abu Ghraib goes right to the top. And just like Truman said, the buck stops here. Assalamu alaikum.